A pair of letters sent by provincial officials to the Toronto Transit Commission and City Hall recently offered a glimpse of what the Ontario government's plans might be upon taking over the subway portion of the capital city's transit system. It mentioned, quote, a truly unique transit artery spanning the city, and resurrects the row over the much-debated one-stop subway to Scarborough. But for many, the letters raised more questions than they answered. Jeff Yurek is Ontario's Transportation Minister, and he's uniquely positioned to give us some of those answers. He's the PC MPP for Elgin, Middlesex, London, and he joins us now. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
First time on the program.
First time.
Okay, we're delighted to have you here. Let's just start with the basic bare bones of this. Why do you think the province of Ontario, as opposed to the city of Toronto, can more effectively and efficiently get transit going?
Well, I think you talk to any rider that's using the subway system today is that the system isn't working. The city council after city council have tried to improve the subway system with different projects and plans, but they never seem to get built. I think if you look over the last 15 years, we have the Eglinton Crosstown is about the only project that is almost to completion. So if people want to see the subways get built and these plans turn into projects, they need to take a different tact. It's going to be a change. It's probably going to be a little difficult to make that change, but it needs to happen. So the province is a better position to fund the projects, plan and build out the projects, and to ensure the maintenance is going and ensure the utilities are prioritized for the build so we can do it quicker.
I want to pick up on two words you said there because,
Sure.
you know, of course, Torontonians love to complain about the TTC and oftentimes with good reason. But a couple of years ago, it was selected the North American transit system, the best transit system. And you said it isn't working. I mean, both those things can't be true, can they?
Well, certainly. I mean, I think the individuals running the subway system, the TTC itself, is surely operating a system. But however, Toronto has really grown over the years. It's become a world-class city. Unfortunately, decisions haven't been able to be made, and it's no fault of anybody. It's no fault of any mayor in the past. It's the fact the system has bogged down the process so that nothing gets built. Steve, I went to University of Toronto in the 1990s here and used the subway system quite a bit, and the map of the subway system basically is the same as it was back in the 90s as it is today.
Not too different.
And that's not progress. So obviously it's showing that something is wrong, and I think the province needs to step in and get these projects going.
Well, needless to say, there is not unanimity on that view. And not too long ago, we had Councillor Josh Matlow from Toronto City Council on this program. We asked him to comment on the notion of uploading the subways to the province of Ontario, and he had this to say. Sheldon, the clip, please.
I actually am not convinced that the Premier's position is that taking Toronto subway has anything to do with improving transit. And I'm basing that based on his track record, but also his stated goals. What this is about is taking Toronto's subway, its lands and its air rights to be able to sell off. He's done that with the Hearn. It looks like he wants to do that with Ontario Place.
Power generating station by the way.
That's right. And now it looks like he wants to do that with the subway's lands and air rights, because that's what he and his Minister of Transportation has said they intend to do.
Well, you're the Minister of Transportation. You're the guy being referred to there. Is this a money play as opposed to a transportation play?
No, I think you could look back of Premier Ford's past. He wrote in the book, it was part of our platform that he wants to upload the subways and build is the three words he loves to use. And that's our plan. That's what we're fulfilling. He's leading on the fact that people in Scarborough need the transit. They've been ignored. Etobicoke needs expansion. We definitely need this Young Relief Line and the Young Extension, and we're going to deliver on all of that at a faster pace. The transit-oriented development that Mr. Matlow is talking about, that's our strategy going forward. There's a lot of value out there that can be realized and put back into the system. Woodbine, for example, is using that model and is building the province a GO station, costing the taxpayers nothing at all to have that built. And in return, they get to build the station, and then they're going to build around the new station. So they're benefiting from utilizing their land value. So, it's a partnership that has been missing. The current city council has been unable to capture those air rights, and we're going to capture those air rights and turn it into more housing for the city of Toronto, and also revitalize our transit system.
Well, let's talk about Scarborough for a second here, because this thing really has had, it seems, endless numbers of incarnations over the years. Once upon a time, when Toronto City Council made this decision, I guess about a decade and a half ago, it was supposed to be a light rail transit system. And it would have had several stops, and it would have been built by now. Instead, it's been a political football that's been kicked all over the place. It's been a subway, it's been a 3-stop subway, a 1-stop subway. Now the Premier wants it back to a 3-stop subway. And it's going to be twice as much money, and it's going to be another 10, 15 years before it's done. How does all of that serve anybody?
Well, I think that's just showing the good example that I spoke of earlier, that the current system isn't working. I believe if the province doesn't step in and upload the subway system and turn these plans into a project, poor Scarborough is going to go longer without a subway heading their way. Premier Ford has been very adamant in the campaign that he believes in a 3-stop subway for Scarborough.
And is prepared to put in the extra money to make that happen?
We're going to have a historic investment into the subway system in our upcoming budget, and I can hardly wait I'm pretty excited about it. You'll hear more about it in about a week's time, but we're putting the money where our mouths are.
How much money?
I think Vic Fideli might come after me if I start leaking every bit about what's going into the budget, but it's going to be historic.
Yeah, but I'll be your best pal, so you can just tell me. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, it's historic. It's going to be historic, and you're going to enjoy it. And I'll come back and discuss more about the plan after the budget.
So there will be something in the Ontario budget flowing. It's got to be hundreds of millions of dollars if it's going to be 3 stops instead of 1. Fair to say?
Fair to say.
Okay. The province is proposing using, quote, alternative delivery methods for the so-called relief line. Some people call it a downtown relief line. The Mayor of Toronto actually doesn't call it that. He calls it a Yonge Street relief line because that's the idea. It's to relieve the pressure on the Yonge Street subway line. What does an alternative delivery method mean?
Well, I'd first of all like to point out that the relief line, to quell any rumors out there, is a priority for our government, and it's what is going to be built first. We're going to get that up and running and get the shovels in the ground. And I'll also tell people, I've been asked this question, the relief line is not a monorail. We put that rest aside, that's not happening. But if you look at the City of Toronto, they've looked at alternative technologies to deliver and build with regards to their subway expansion. We've done the same thing in order to find more efficient, cost-effective ways to deliver a subway system quicker than what's currently happening today. And again, that'll be released in the upcoming weeks.
And you are confirming again today that the relief line will be built before any extension of the Yonge Street subway line north of here will be built.
You can start building both, but the relief line will be up and running prior to the opening of an extension in Yonge.
How much is the relief line going to cost?
Again, you're really asking some great questions before budget time.
Glad you think so.
If you see Toronto's going to be coming out with a report, from what I've heard, their initial calculations have almost doubled for the Yonge relief line since they first started talking about it. I can assure you that we've found a cost-effective way to bring that relief line forward, and again, it will be released in the next coming week.
Are you at all mortified by the apparent frequent changes in the price tag for all of these things? And we just saw from all the documentation that came out related to the Scarborough subway, this thing's going to be way more expensive than anybody thought it was going to be.
Well, again, I think that that's an interesting concept that the price keeps going up, and I think it's because we never ever turn these plans into projects. And that's the good news about this story. At the end of the day, is the province uploading these systems will actually get the shovels in the ground and get these built, so we can finally have an end line of how much this is going to cost and get the focus back on the rider to enjoy their transit opportunity.
If you think this is such an unambiguously good idea that the province takes control of the subway system, why are so many people in the 416 opposed to this?
I think you look back, it's change. It's a different way of delivering the subway system, and change is not easy, but it needs to happen, because if we keep down the same path, we're not going to get these subway systems built, and unfortunately, the riders is going to suffer. I mean, we're heading into safety concerns, how jam-packed the subways are. I just rode the subway up here, and for this time of day, it was amazing how full the subway was at this time of the day.
Hang on, you took the subway here?
Yes.
You didn't take a limo here? You do know you're allowed to take a limo here. You're a cabinet minister.
I take the subway. I have a Presto card, and I enjoy it. I took the subway when I was a university student. I've taken the subway for the last 7 years in MPP. I'm not going to change because I'm a minister, and I prefer to utilize that transit because I think it's faster when you're downtown Toronto.
Okay, I just paid you compliments, so now, of course, I got to do the other thing, which is to say, I do hear people say from time to time, Jeff Yurek is from rural southwestern Ontario. What could he possibly know about what it takes to make the public transit system in the City of Toronto better? What's the answer to that?
Well, I have a number of comments. I'm going to give a plug for St. Thomas, Ontario. It is the railway capital of Canada, and it's founded and based on the railway and how we grew Canada. And I invite anybody to come down and spend their tourist dollars in St. Thomas. But I'm also a pharmacist and a small business owner, and I focused on taking care of my patient or the customer and customer service. And I think that's what the government of Ontario has to do. Utilize the skill set that's in the government, listen to them, and go forward, but ensure that at the same time you're guiding them and providing customer service. Because I want the Ministry of Transportation, with regards to the subway upload, is to focus on the rider. Mayor Tory has said it numerous times, we're on the same page with this. So I want to ensure that as we build and grow the subway, we actually get the job done so the rider is focused on the ride and more people utilize the transit.
Now, the untold story, of course, of uploading the subway system is that means it's no longer just, not that it ever was, but it's certainly, if you intend to take it over, provincial tax dollars will be going into Toronto Transit in a much bigger way than in previous years. And I wonder how the good burghers of St. Thomas and other places around Ontario feel about that. What do you think?
Well, we are investing across the entire province, and it's not just going to be solely on the transit system of Toronto. We are creating a regional transit system in the GTHA. I mean, we just announced $1.2 billion for Ottawa's light rail transit. At the end of the day, I think about 80% of the folks will be within 5 kilometers of the transit system. We just announced $1.3 billion in fixing our roads and highways throughout the entire province. We're working with the City of London on their bus rapid transit, and Hamilton. We just announced that we've committed to $1 billion to grow their light rail transit. So we are investing, but I think people also have to take a look that we need to get the economy going. And right now, people are trapped in their cars. Trucks are trapped on the highways. There's movement of goods isn't happening. So in order to get the economy going, we have to get people moving and investing in the transit to expand the transit opportunities. Well, hopefully, to free up the congestion in our streets, get movement of goods. The largest city in Canada needs to get moving in order to get the province of Ontario's economy moving. And once we do that, more revenue for the province that we could spend throughout the entire province.
Here's how the Globe and Mail described a bit of what you're up to. Sheldon, can we have this graphic up, please? The province says it wants, quote, a leadership role in the planning, design, and delivery of new transit projects. In other words, the province wants to upload transit decision-making to the politicians at Queen's Park. It seems reasonable to believe that to solve its own budget problems, it will simultaneously seek to download a certain amount of financial burden onto the taxpayers of the city. For Torontonians, that would be a terrible trade. Can you sit here tonight and tell us that in exchange for the added burden, financial burden that the province will assume by taking over the subways, that you will not download additional burdens, financial and otherwise, to the City of Toronto?
It's not our intention to do a trade with the cities. What we see is a problem that Premier Forum outlined in our campaign promise, that subways are not getting built. The transit system is stuck. It's not moving. And in order to make Toronto move and the GTHA and get Ontario engines moving again, we need to improve the transit sector. And that means uploading the subways and ensuring that they're built. The TTC will continue to operate and keep the fare box at the end of the day. And we're going to look at ensuring the maintenance is done and planning and growing the subway system. I don't look at it as a trade-off. I think it's an investment in the province.
Okay, my ears pricked up when you said it is not our intention. And it is not our intention is not the same thing as no. Did you just say it's not our intention, or did you mean to say no, or which was it?
It's not in the plan that we're going forward that we're doing a trade-off with the City of Toronto to upload their subways. What we've done with the City of Toronto is Michael Lindsay's been our appointed special advisor, and he's been working with city staff. We work together, created terms of reference of how the subway is going to transfer ownership to the province to create this new partnership. A lot of the financial questions and details that people are talking about will be sourced out during this upload. Obviously, we're looking at trying to get the expansions going now, and we'll continue to work towards a final upload going down.
Okay. There was a time when the previous government was in place that John Tory and Toronto City Council brought forward a plan to toll a couple of the highways that it has jurisdiction over. The government of the day stepped in and said, no, we're not going to let you do that. I wonder if you would revisit, is it part of your plan to revisit some of whatever ideas might come forward from Toronto City Council if they want to raise revenue for transit projects on their own?
We will definitely work with the City of Toronto on their plans for improving transit opportunities or revenue sources for their city. However, I've always been on the record as I have a hard time tolling roads that the people of this province have already built. New highways, let's have that discussion and see if that's the best route forward. But current highways, right at this point, I don't have an appetite to discuss tolling roads that are already built.
Okay. One last thing here, and that is, I mean, as far as I can tell, there are negotiations ongoing between the city and the province to sort of work all this out. But the fact is, the city is a creation of the province. You can do it without their permission. You can impose it. You can have your way without spending all this time doing the negotiating. Why don't you?
It's a partnership. It's a partnership between the City of Toronto and the province of Ontario. And John Tory has been a wonderful person to work with, very positive and collaborative. He's looking out for the best for his City of Toronto, and we're looking to have this new partnership develop. Being heavy-handed and one-sided on this doesn't build a good, trusting relationship. I think the people of Toronto know that the system isn't working, change is necessary, but we want to do it together. And I think as the process is going on, I think it's going to be good for the people of Toronto, it's going to be good for the people of the province, but more importantly, the rider of the TTC is going to have a better experience and more opportunities.
Some will observe that you didn't necessarily take that collaborative approach when it came to shrinking Toronto City Council by half. You imposed that. So why do it this way this time?
You know, as I said, the Toronto Transit affects everybody, even outside of Ontario. Everybody's reliable on ensuring that there's a transit system that's a regional network. The TTC is going to be a hub of that regional network. It's going to be connecting different jurisdictions around downtown Toronto and also our GO lines, which we're rapidly expanding. So you know, it's the way we want to move forward with Mayor John Tory. He's been such a good collaborative partner. And it's the best thing for Toronto. It's the best way to do things, is to work together to then result. It's not always going to be appeasing one side or the other. There's always going to be people that are going to say no matter what our government does. But you know, if we can come at the end of the day with at the end of terms of reference with a good package before the City of Toronto and the province of Ontario, we're going to have a good product going down the lines, and we're going to build.
There are those three words again. That's Jeff Yurek. He's the Minister of Transportation for the province of Ontario and the PC member for Elgin, Middlesex, London. Good to have you here at TVO tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.